Hello everyone and welcome to another Versus video with me, Brad Nelson, and him, Brian Brown doing.
Yes.
You got close to getting to say your own name, but I got to. Anyway.
Well, that's pretty lucky.
I know it is. I feel fortunate.
Yeah.
Mostly I'm fortunate because I'm playing an awesome deck today. One that I've been working on actually, not just built and tried like the black-white deck I played last week against Mr. Brian Brown doing. That didn't go so well. But this one I got some games in, and it's a little more sophisticated. So let's take a look at Black-White Animal Farm.
Yeah, this one looks like it has a better chance of beating a Nyx Weaver, which I am playing again.
That is true. And now, the reason that it's called Animal Farm is because the entire deck is filled with sheep, cats, and birds. And so I thought that was cute. And birds, and more birds. Lots of birds.
They're rocks, not birds.
They're rocks, but they're kind of birds.
Rocks don't fly, Brad.
These ones do.
Wow.
Yeah, I know,
Mind
right?
blown.
All right, so the deck looks a little different than the normal black-white mid-range deck, obviously, because Pack Rat was replaced with Nyx Fleece Ram. And,
strong.
And if you read my article...
All right, end.
And we're done, yeah.
End video.
But the reason for that change is mainly because Sphinx's Revelation is now out of the format, so a deck does not have to be built to beat Inevitability. You can actually obtain it on your own, and cards like Sign in Blood and Thoughtseize help out getting a superior card advantage on your opponent, not only by taking their best cards, but just drawing more than them. But life is an actual resource that you have to care about in a deck like this.
Right.
So Nyx Fleece Ram can come down, be a blocker, do a lot of awesome stuff in the deck, but most importantly, this deck has more roles for a Nyx Fleece Ram than you'd say like the decks that played it against Red, White, Burn and Rebel Red last season.
Yeah, so it's almost sad that the creature type is sheep because you're really using every part of this buffalo.
Thank you for that one.
Yep.
That was a good one. And that's the truth about the matter. So let's talk about all the things we can do with this before we go on. A Nyx Fleece Ram can help convoke Devouring Light. Now, this doesn't look like the normal card you see in a deck like this, but it works really well in a strategy that has a defensive 2-drop. Not only do the Rams pile up sometimes, you'll get like 2 in play, generating 2 life a turn, that you can just have 1 mana, and they might be thinking Murderous Cut, which theoretically is better than a Devouring Light, but not against Sarkhan. This is a great answer against a Sarkhan in play. Along with just any other creature, it's a great removal spell. The other thing that this card can do that's awesome is if you have a Breemaz in play, you can downfall and only have 1 mana left, attack, and get your token, and if they block the token to just kill it with like a Course or something, you can just Devour and Light that creature. And because they both have Vigilance, yes, you're tapped out now, but you theoretically had 6 mana on turn 4.
Yeah.
So you not only got to kill something, but play it. Same with Read the Bones and Sign in Blood. A Devouring Light can act as a removal spell right after you play a Breemaz, while you're also doing other things with your mana, which is just awesome. Moving on, we have High Sentinels of Arashin. I'm gonna get the name eventually, but Arashin is not a normal word that I'm used to saying.
We're gonna have to ration out how Brad is able to pronounce these. So
I liked how you rationalize that.
Yeah.
All right, but this card is the wild card. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I do want to test it out. It's the one card I haven't actually tested with in this deck. But the reason that I have it in here is not only is it a decent body for a 4-drop that can trigger my Wingmate rocks, which I've been, like, I started with 2 and now I have 3, and I could see the correct number being 4 eventually in a certain shell. The card is very good, but you need ways to turn it on.
Yeah.
And Sorin is not always reliable, and these guys alone aren't, so I added some more creatures, and we're going to see how many more I'm going to need to eventually I play 3 of these and feel good about it. But the reason I like this card is it's something to do with mana when I have too much of it. Also, a deck like this just uses all its resources. It's just like whenever you have something, you do something. And you get into top deck mode a lot. And just having the ability at the end of a game, when you have a board position, but you're both top decking, but you don't know whose board is better, just having the ability to sink all your mana into something and just get the superior board immediately feels like something that's good. It feels like a township, not as good as a Gavany township, but it kind of has that ability where it's like, I don't have a lot of things to do right now, and he could top deck something, so I might as well just make all my guys bigger and attack.
Yeah, and if you only have like 2 creatures, it actually is a cheaper township every turn.
It is, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. If you have 2 creatures, it's only 4 mana, and, well, that's not true because after the first activation, he will not get a second bonus.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's only the first counter on each guy.
Yeah.
But he does just boost everything. But let's talk about my boy down here, Wingmate Rock. Now, this card is so good. When I first saw it, I was like, how am I going to trigger it? Because I need to get this raid. Because Brewmate Dragon defined an entire standard format. And this feels very similar, except it has a real cost, right? Like, you have to attack first. So it can't just be a control deck that curves to this. So I started thinking about like black decks with Thoughtseize and Sign in Blood and how we can mesh it all together, and that's where the sheep combo came in with Wingmate Rock. We can actually just attack with our sheep and trigger raid. And because it has such a high toughness, it's probably not going to die if we're doing our job right. You know, if we got downfalls and we're killing things and trading. Last but not least, everything's kind of generic. Thoughtseize and Sign in Bloods are a combo that I think are going to be very good in this format. Everyone's going to be playing tap lands. I'm just going to Thoughtseize them and Sign in Blood early in the game.
Yeah.
Some Elspeths. Sorin is decent in this deck. It does a lot of cool things, like making a vampire when you don't have any threats on the board, but you have sheep on play. Like, it's probably going to survive there. Bremez into Sorin just means take 6, gain 6. And then it makes a guy to not only trigger Wingmate Rock, but once you have it and the Bird Companion in play, you can just gain 10, deal 8, the 2 life coming from the ability from Wingmate Rock. And it's going to be really hard for the opponent to not only race that, but actually deal you any damage that's relevant after you've gained 10 life.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Sorin a lot, actually.
It's been very good. Finding homes for it has been a little more difficult than I originally thought, but it has been phenomenal. Other than that, downfalls, Bow Blights, a regular mana base. We've got 2 Scoured Barons in here as tap lands. The deck might want more dual lands because this is a lot of plains, but just keep in mind that there are no Mutavaults and there's still 26 lands over here. And so, like, it might be worth just playing 25, but I want to curve out to my Planeswalkers, to my spells. I don't want to get stuck on 4. Decks like Bremaz-based black decks tend to want to curve out and not cast as many spells, then get stuck and cast more spells.
Yeah, I mean, you do run a serious risk of, like, late game flooding out on Thoughtseize's Rams and lands. But
I agree with you, and that's one of the main reasons why I did put the High Priest in to try them out, or the High Sentinels, to see if that ability is relevant, and maybe more of those if it actually is. But let's quick take a look at the sideboard and then get to BBD's Nyx Weaver deck. It's all looking Nyx today. So as we look in the sideboard, we see the normal Gotta Kill Rabble Master card in Drown in Sorrow. Who knows if we're going to want 4 of these. The reason I only have 3 is because I wanted 1 End Hostilities to go with my Lilianas. We'll get to Liliana in a second. 2 Despise. I think it's a very good card. I tried main decking it, but a deck like Black-White wants to disrupt and play permanents and kill some things, and you can't really overindulge in any effect. And so I just had too many of what we were talking about, dead draws in the mid to late game.
Yep.
It's a great turn 1 play into a Sign in Blood, but if that's not where you're at in the game, you don't want to draw it. But against any deck that's playing Nylea, Xenagos, Sarkhan, Pelucranos, this is just a perfect card for you to complement your Thoughtseizes. Another Read the Bones against any control mid-range deck where we just want more card advantage. We don't want to overindulge in the main deck for these things, but after sideboard, it's great to have this, especially since they're going to now have more ways to disrupt my game plan. So just more card advantage is good. 3 Brain Maggots, and the reason for this guy is against any control strategy, the body's not that relevant, but it is relevant that it can attack. And now if they don't have any creature, it triggers my Wingmate Rocks.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of a card like Brain Maggot. The other great thing is any Caryatid deck, this is a great on the play card to complement your disruption, because you can take a Sylvan Caryatid or a Courser where you normally would want to take the action spell with a Despiser Thoughtseize, but this guy can take one of those cards that will become more irrelevant as the game goes on, to the point where on turn 5, killing a Brain Maggot, like I'll just chump block with a Brain Maggot. I don't care if you get your Caryatid back. It's not going to have a high impact on the game. Hell, you might not even want to play it the next turn because you want to do things with your mana that matter. And then 2 Lilies to complement all the discard. I think this card's very good.
Yeah, I think so too.
And moving into a format where we're probably just going, a lot of matchups are just going to be kill all the things and draw cards and try to get more advantage. A Planeswalker that complements that strategy is really powerful. So there's going to be matchups where Wingmate Rock is not going to get the job done. Like, they're just going to have too much removal, my guys are going to die, and I'm just going to want to sideboard into a plan where Lily and Sorin and Elspeth are my backbone. And I'm trying to find, like Empty the Pits is not only a single card threat, but it complements my Lily, so I can go find it. But this is the game plan, is just keep both players at low resources and then just empty the pits.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot, and Empty the Pits has been phenomenal for me to the point where I'm like main decking them in a variety of decks now because the card's just so good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where this card's going to go. I would not be surprised if this is just the new Sphinx's Revelation card. That is just like the card that a deck plays around to just win the game with.
Yeah.
And it's like even like play it, only hit your graveyard with it, and like hold up Dissolve mana.
Yeah.
And then just attack with a bunch of zombies. Bioblade does exist, and so does Drown in Sorrow. So like, the card does have a lot more vulnerabilities than a card, say Sphinx's Revelation, but it is very powerful. And then one end hostilities to be a tutor target when I'm really far behind but not dead. I can always just play a Lily, tick down, go find a Wrath. Next turn, just blow up the board. And then I have 1 silence, 1 utter end. Now, I don't know if a 1-1 split is better than just having 2 utter ends or 2 silence, but they both are comparable in the sense that this is a 7-mana removal spell that does the same thing as this at 4, but this can hit like Oblivion Rings and Planeswalkers. And I wanted to try one of each because early in a season, it's better when you can tutor and you're not sure to just have one of each in your deck.
I think that it's worth having a card like Utter End or Deicide because I feel like cards like Keranos or Other Gods could be big players.
Well, I think Keranos, I think Keranos is very strong. We do have a ton of discard against strategies like that, and we do only have 2 ways to kill it right now, and that might change in the future, but I think Utter End is just the Deicide that you want. So, like,
yeah.
I might want 2 copies of that later on. But having 2 answers to that card resolving, along with a lot of other ways to deal with it, and just a ton of discard in general, I think that I'm not going to worry about actually Keranos until I'm told to care about it.
Okay, that's fair enough, yeah.
I'm told to Keranos about it.
I'm going to tell you right now you should care about it.
Should I? Am I going to lose to it?
Probably not.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today, because we're going to go check out BBD's deck that does not have Keranos in it, and then we're going to get to Battle Rattles. Without Rabbles.
I'm going to play a turn 4 Keranos against him.
That's a lie. He'd be cheating.
Yeah.
Not in his deck list.